guess I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting things what I'm late getting on, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I went on a Formula One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Would have been on the tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Cast Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. So, salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cast Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the life and career of Canelo Alvarez, the conclusion. Yeah, we started Canelo. What has the family today? We started Canelo on the regular profile day Friday. The long one told you it's going to be 2 parts, just like Floyd was. So we'll do the conclusion today. But we're going to jump right into it. For the highlights of boxing history today, for the next few weeks, we're going to go through every weight class for the highlight of boxing history and do the top 10 fighters in every weight class, starting with heavyweight today. Okay? So without further ado, let's do the highlights of boxing history, cover the first 30 minutes of the show. Okay, the highlights of boxing history. The top 10 greatest heavyweight fighters of all time. But first, Okay. Okay, let's go on to the show. We'll continue with the highlights of boxing history tomorrow. The life and career of Canelo Alvarez. Technical difficulties ruined the highlights of boxing history. Okay, let's start with the show. This is ridiculous. Okay. Because this is long and we might not even get it done today. So bear with me for a minute. Okay, here we go. Yeah, we're going to finish up the life and career of Canelo Alvarez today. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start it. When Canelo went to middleweight, Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. Okay. Was having some technical difficulties there right at the beginning of the show. Okay. Hopefully everything is ironed out. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. Okay, Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin. That's where we're starting today. Where we left off at Friday. Now, immediately after the Chavez Jr. fight, Canelo announced that he would next fight Gennady Golovkin on September 16th, 2017, at a location to be determined. Now, Golovkin, who stated he would not attend the fight, was joined by his trainer, Abel Sanchez, and promoter Tom Lofgren. Now, Golovkin joined Canelo in the ring during the announcement to help promote their upcoming fight. Speaking through a translator, Canelo said, "Golovkin, you are next, my friend. The fight is done. I've never feared anyone since I was 15 fighting as a professional. When I was born, fear was gone. When Triple G arrived in the ring, he said, I feel very excited. Right now is a different story. In September, it will be a different style, a big drama show. I'm ready. Tonight, first, congrats to Canelo and his team. Right now, I think everyone is excited for September. Canelo looked very good tonight and 100%. He is the biggest challenge of my career. Good luck to Canelo in September." So on May 9th, Eric Gomez, president of Golden Boy Promotions, told the LA Times that Canelo had an immediate rematch clause in place on his contract, whereas Triple G, if he loses, won't be guaranteed a rematch. Now, Oscar De La Hoya later revealed in an interview with ESPN that the fight would also take place at the full middleweight limit of 160 pounds with no rehydration clauses, meaning both Triple G and Canelo would be able to gain an unlimited amount of weight following the weigh-in. So on June 5th, the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas was announced as the venue of the fight and would mark the first time Triple G would fight in the state of Nevada. Okay, that was Triple G's first fight in Las Vegas, the Canelo fight. Now, the AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, home of the Dallas Cowboys, Madison Square Garden, and Dodger Stadium were all in the running to host the fight. But they picked T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now, Eric Gomez of Golden Boy Promotions said in a statement that Canelo would fight for the IBF title, meaning he would participate in the second day weigh-in where the IBF requires that each fighter weigh no more than 10 pounds over the 160-pound limit on the day of the fight, right? Now, although he said there was no word on whether Canelo would fight for the WBC title, Canelo claimed that he would not fight for the WBC. Now, on July 7th, 2017, Golden Boy and K2 Promotions, Triple G's promoter, individually announced the tickets had sold out. On August 15th, Golden Boy matchmaker Robert Diaz revealed that Canelo would indeed attend the IBF mandatory second day weigh-in and fully intended to fight for both the IBF title and the WBA title. He also made it clear that while Triple G would still defend the WBC and IBO title, Canelo would not pay their sanctioning fee. Okay? So Triple G would have his WBC and IBO on the line, but Canelo was not willing to pay the sanctioning fees for those titles. So I guess he wouldn't be awarded them, right? Drop this down. I'm sorry, that's loud. There we go. That's much better. My bad. Okay, let's continue. And Canelo said he wasn't paying those sanctioning fees. So let's continue. IBF President Daryl Peoples announced that they would be dropping the mandatory second day weigh-in for unification fights, meaning neither fighter would be required to participate in the second day weigh-in. However, they would still encourage them to do so. Well, why would you drop it and encourage them to do so? Just keep the mandatory second day weigh-in in effect, right? You're going to drop it, but then encourage both fighters to do so. Just go, but your policy, keep it in effect. That was crazy. It was reported that Canelo would earn a base minimum of $5 million and Triple G would earn $3 million before any shares of the revenue were added to their purses. On fight night, in front of a sold-out crowd of 22,358, Triple G and Canelo fought to a split draw. 118-110, which was ridiculous. We're going to talk about that in a minute. 118-110 Canelo, 115-113 Triple G, and 114-114. Now, ESPN's Dan Raphael unofficially and HBO's Harold Letterman unofficially scored the fight 116-112 in favor of Triple G. Now, Judge Adelaide Bird, she's trash, always been trash as a judge. Judge Adelaide Bird's scorecard of 118-110 in favor of Canelo was widely ridiculous. Many observers felt that Golovkin had won a narrow, closely contested fight. And while a draw was justifiable, a card 118-110 in favor of Canelo was inexcusable. Okay, this is the same woman when Holyfield and Lennox Lewis fought. In one round, Lennox Lewis landed like 40. Holyfield landed in single digits. And this woman gave the round to Holyfield. So she should have been banned as a judge years ago. But she's still judging. And look what she did here. 118-110 for that fight. Even a casual fan could have watched the fight and knew it wasn't that damn wide. Come on, man. But anyway, Nevertheless, Bob Bennett, director of the Nevada Athletic Commission, said that he had full confidence in Byrd going forward. Wow. Despite the controversy, several mainstream media outlets referred to the fight as a classic. Now, the fight started with both boxers finding their rhythm. Canelo using his footwork and Triple G establishing his jab. Now, during the middle rounds, particularly between 4 and 8, Canelo started each round quickly, but seemed to tire out after a minute into each round, with Triple G taking over and doing enough to win the rounds. Now, the championship rounds were arguably the best rounds of the fight, and Canelo started to counter more, and both fighters stood toe-to-toe exchanging, the majority of which missed. And the draw saw Triple G make his 19th consecutive defense, just one behind middleweight great Bernard Hopkins. Now, CompuBox stats showed that Triple G was the busier of the two. Triple G landed 218 of 703 punches thrown for 31%, while Canelo was more accurate. Canelo landed 169 of his 505 punches thrown for 34%. Triple G outlanded Canelo in 10 of the 12 rounds. Now, the replay, which took place a week later on HBO, averaged 726,000, peaking at 840,000 viewers. Okay. Pick up the chat very quick. All right, we got Define Arnie 1 in the building. What's up, Define Arnie 1? Oh, wow. There I go again, missing people. I tell you, Miss Cass gonna fire me. We got Thomas Hill in the building. What's up, T Hill? We got Mike Grimm in the building. What's up, Mike? And Define Arnie 1 is also in here. What's up, Define Arnie 1? Good to see you. It's our friend from Puerto Rico, Define Arnie 1. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, that lady Adelaide Byrd is trash, absolute garbage as a judge, man. Always been garbage. Right? I think her husband, Robert Byrd, is a referee. That's her husband, yeah. But wow. But anyway, okay. So yeah, Triple G kept his belts. Okay. And speaking to Max Kellerman after the fight, Triple G said, "It was a big drama show. The scoring is not my fault. I put pressure on him every round. I still have all the belts. I am still champion." Now, Canelo felt as though he had won the fight. Canelo said, "In the first rounds, I came out to see what he had. Then I was building from there." Canelo said, "I think I won 8 rounds. I felt that I won the fight. I think that I was superior in the ring. I won at least 7 or 8 rounds. I was able to counterpunch and made Kennedy wobble at least 3 times. If we fight again, it's up to the people. I feel frustrated over my draw." Now, Triple G's trainer, Abel Sanchez, said that Judge Adelaide Byrd had her scorecard filled out before the first round, even before the fight even began. Triple G's trainer said she had that card filled out before the fight even started, man. Now, Canelo ruled out another fight in 2017, claiming he would return on Cinco de Mayo weekend in 2018, May 2018. Remember, he always fights on Cinco de Mayo. Fought John Ryder this year, on that matter of fact, remember? At the post-fight press conference, Canelo said through a translator, "Look, right now, I want to rest. Whatever the fans want, whatever the people want and ask for, we'll do. You know that's my style. But right now, who knows if it's in May or September. But one thing for sure, this is my era. This is the era of Canelo." Now, Triple G's promoter, Tom Loeffler, stated that they would like an immediate rematch, but Triple G, who prefers fighting at least 3 times in a calendar year, reiterated his desire to also fight in December. Now, the fight surpassed Mayweather versus Alvarez to achieve the 3rd highest gate in boxing history, behind Floyd the MMA guy, Conor McGregor. I always thought Floyd and Oscar was third, but no, it says Canelo Triple G passed that. Canelo Triple G is number 3. Wow. Now, ESPN reported the fight generated $27,059,850 from 17,318 tickets sold. Now, 934 complimentary tickets were given away, right? Mayweather versus Canelo sold 16,146 tickets to produce a live gate of $20,003,150. Now, the replay, which took place a week later on HBO, averaged 726,000, peaking at 840,000 viewers. And the Los Angeles Times reported the fight generated 1.3 million domestic pay-per-view buys. Now, although HBO didn't make an official announcement, it is believed that the revenue would exceed $100 million. Wow. Very successful fight. Big numbers. So, immediate rematch. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 2. Okay, immediate rematch. Canelo Alvarez versus Gennady Golovkin 2. Okay? Now, immediately after the controversial ending, talks began for a rematch between Canelo and Triple G. Now, Canelo stated he would next fight in May 2018, the next year, whereas Triple G was open to fighting in December 2017. ESPN reported that Canelo, who only had the rematch clause in his contract, must activate it within 3 weeks of their fight, of the first fight. So on September 19th, Golden Boy Promotions president Eric Gomez told ESPN that everyone on their side was interested in the rematch, and they would hold discussions with Tom Loeffler, Triple G's promoter, in the coming days. Now, Ring TV reported that the negotiations would begin on September 22nd. On September 24th, Eric Gomez of Golden Boy said the rematch would likely take place in the first week of May 2018, Cinco de Mayo, or as early as March if a deal could be worked. But we know Canelo always fight on that first week in May, and you know it wasn't happening in no March. Come on, Eric, stop it. Now, Eric was capping. Despite ongoing negotiations for the rematch, at the 55th annual convention in Baku, Azerbaijan on October 2nd, the WBC officially ordered a rematch, okay? So the WBC stepped in and ordered the rematch. Now, Eric Gomez reacted by telling ESPN, regardless of if they did or didn't order the rematch, we're going to try to make it happen. Now, we'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. On November 7th, Gomez indicated the negotiations were going well, and Canelo would make a decision in regards to the rematch in the following weeks. Now, it was believed that Golden Boy would wait until after David Lemieux and Billy Joe Saunders fought for the latter's WBO title on December 16, 2017, before making a decision. Now, on November 15th, Matchroom's Eddie Hearn, promoter of Daniel Jacobs, stated that he approached Tom Loeffler regarding a possible rematch between Triple G and Danny Jacobs if the Canelo Triple G rematch failed to take place. On December 20th, 2017, Gomez announced that the negotiations were close to being finalized after Canelo gave Golden Boy the go-ahead to write up the contract. On January 29th, 2018, HBO finally announced the rematch would take place in May on Cinco de Mayo weekend. So I told you Eric Gomez was capping, talking about maybe in March. You know, damn well Canelo fighting on Cinco de Mayo or Mexican Independence Day in September. Yeah, so yeah, Eric Gomez was capping. So it ended up being on Cinco de Mayo 2018, right? On February 22nd, the T-Mobile Arena was again selected as the fight's venue. Now, according to WBC President Mauricio Suleiman, Canelo would fight Triple G for the WBC title this time around. In March 2018, Canelo tested positive for the banned substance, clenbuterol. ahead of the fight. Now, adding to the controversy, Triple G's trainer, Abel Sanchez, claimed that Canelo had his hands wrapped in an illegal manner for the first fight. Now, on March 23rd, the Nevada State Athletic Commission temporarily suspended Canelo due to his 2 positive tests for the banned substance, clenbuterol. Now, Canelo was required to appear at a commission hearing either in person or by telephone on the issue on April 10th, 2018. Now, the commission would decide at the hearing whether the fight would be permitted to go ahead as scheduled. On March 28th, 2018, MGM Resorts International, who owns the T-Mobile Arena, started to offer full refunds to anyone who had already purchased tickets for the fight. They wrote, in the event a fan requested a refund, they could get one at the original point of sale and in full. Okay? Now, people want refunds now because Canelo done tested positive for that clenbuterol, and people not sure the fight going to go through, and nobody want to go away out there and get hotels and all that, and fight don't happen, so now they asking for a refund. So the Las Vegas Review-Journal reported the news. Now, the hearing was rescheduled for April 18th as Bob Bennett filed a complaint against Canelo. I think he was the president of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, I believe, Bob Bennett, or the commissioner or something. He's some kind of bigwig in the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Bob Bennett. He filed a complaint against Canelo. On April 3rd, Canelo officially withdrew from the rematch. Golden Boy Promotions mentioned during a press conference it was hinted that Canelo would likely not be cleared at the hearing and they would not have enough time to promote the fight. On April 13th, 2018, an unofficial source stated that Canelo had checked into a private hospital in Guadalajara for an arthroscopy knee surgery. Now, a spokesman for Golden Boy later said it was a cosmetic surgery. After surgery, Canelo posted a picture on social media with a caption reading, I shared that today I had to undergo an arthroscopic surgery to repair the internal femoral cartilage and eliminate a pathological fold of my right knee. Now, Eric Gomez of Golden Boy later confirmed that Canelo had a cyst taken out of his knee and there were no serious issues with his knee. So at the hearing, Canelo was given a 6-month suspension, backdated to his first drug test fail on February 17th, 2017, right? That was before the first fight, meaning, February 2018, meaning the ban would end on August 17th, 2018. Now, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association, VADA, stated that Canelo was not enrolled in their testing program. His promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, then announced that Canelo would return to the ring on Mexican Independence Day weekend. Now, according to Triple G, on April 27, 2018, before he defeated, because he went on with another fight, Vanessa Madarajan, a fight with Canelo in the fall was still a priority. So yeah, Triple G took another fight with that guy, right? So, okay, let me take the chat very quick. Everything, okay. So, yeah, Triple G said although he had fought the other, I think it was April, he said a fight in September with Canelo was still possible. Okay, fight in the fall. Now, although Triple G stated the rematch had a 10% chance of happening, Eric Gomez and Tom Loeffler agreed to meet and start negotiating after May 5th. One of the main issues preventing the rematch to take place was the purse split. Canelo wanted a 65-35 in his favor, the same terms Triple G agreed to initially. But Triple G wanted a straight 50-50 split this time. I don't blame him. You fought to a draw, so why should you still get the same split? No, it should be 50-50 this time. But I don't think it was, but it was closer to 65-35. On June 6, 2018, Triple G was stripped of his IBF title due to not adhering to the IBF rules. Now, the IBF granted Triple G an exception to fight Marty Rajan, although they would not sanction the fight, and told Triple G's team to start negotiating and fight mandatory challenger Sergey Derevyanchenko by August 3rd, 2018. So the IBF released a statement in detail explaining its decision to strip Triple G of the belt. On June 7th, 2018, Triple G's team stated they would accept the 55-45 split in favor of Canelo. Yeah, so they split it down the middle. You know, Canelo wanted 65-35, Triple G wanted 50-50, so it ended up 55-45, okay? 5 days later, on June 12th, Golden Boy gave Triple G a 24-hour deadline to accept a 57.5 to 42.5 split in Canelo's favor, or they would explore other fights. At this time, Golden Boy was already in light negotiations with Eddie Hearn for a fight against Daniel Jacobs instead of Triple G. At the same time, Loeffler was working closely with Frank Warren to match Billy Joe Saunders with Triple G at the end of August. So Triple G declined the offer because Triple G was fighting a lot more than Canelo. And Triple G was like, look, I'm ready to get back in the ring against somebody because Canelo was fighting twice a year. Cinco de Mayo and Mexico Independence Day. Triple G was fighting 3 times a year. So Triple G was trying to get back in there by August so he could get another fight at the end of the year in December. Maybe the Canelo fight. So he told Canelo them, you know, Frank Warren, they were still trying to find other fights for Triple G by the end of August. So Triple G declined the offer, the last offer, and Oscar stated there would be no rematch. Despite this, some sources indicated both sides were still negotiating after a Hail Murray idea came to light. Hours later, Oscar confirmed by his Twitter account the terms had been agreed and the fight would indeed take place on September 15th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. But they never said, okay, yeah. The terms ended up being 55-45. 55-45 in favor of Canelo. Okay? Now, Canelo started training for the fight on June 14th and stated his intention to apply for his boxing license on August 18th. Because remember, he was still suspended, right? But the suspension was retroactive back to when he tested. So he was eligible to get his license back in August. Okay? Now, it was confirmed that both fighters would not physically come face to face with each other until the fight week. A split-screen press conference took place on July 3rd. On September 3rd, due to a majority vote of the panel, it was announced that the vacant ring middleweight title would also be contested for the fight. Now, Doug Fisher wrote, "We posed the question to the ratings panel, which, in a landslide slide, voted in favor of the Ring Magazine's 160-pound championship being up for grabs when the two stars meet again at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And the IBO middleweight title was only at stake for Triple G, as Canelo refused to pay the sanctioning fees. In front of a sellout crowd of 21,965, the fight was again not without controversy, as Canelo defeated Triple G by majority decision after 12 rounds. Canelo was favored by judges Dave Moretti and Steve Weisfeld, both scoring the fight 115-113. The third judge, Glenn Feldman, scored it 114-114, a majority decision. The result was disputed by fans, pundits, and media alike. Of the 18 media outlets scoring the fight, 10 ruled in favor of Triple G. 7 scored it a draw, while 1 scored the fight for Canelo. Now, the scorecard showed how close the fight was, with the judges splitting 8 rounds. After 9 rounds, all 3 judges had their scorecards reading 87-84 for Canelo. Now, the fight was much different from the first fight in terms of action. Canelo, who was described by Triple G's team as a runner, altered his style and became more aggressive. Both fighters found use of their respective jabs from the opening round, with Triple G using his jab more as the fight went on. Big punches were landed by both fighters during the fight, with both Canelo and Triple G showing excellent chins. I'll say that again. Despite the tense build-up, both fighters showed each other respect after the fight. Canelo made good use of his body attack, landing 46 compared to Triple G's 6 landed. 46 to 6 in body shots in favor of Canelo. That's unbelievable. Only 6 body shots for Triple G the entire fight. The Combat Box stats showed that Triple G landed 234 of 879 punches thrown, 27%. You mean 234 punches, only 6 of them was body shots? That's got to be a misprint. And Canelo landed 202 of his 622 punches for 33%. What is this? Yeah. Okay, but Triple G had 27%, Canelo had 38%. Triple G had the edge in jabs again, landing 118 out of 547, 21.6% compared to 59 out of 256, 23% for Canelo. But Canelo had the edge in power punches, landing 143 out of 366, 39.1%, compared to 116 out of 332, 4.9% for Triple G. In 8 of the rounds, Triple G outlanded Canelo in total punches, whereas Canelo outlanded Triple G in power punches in 9 of the rounds. Okay? Now, Canelo stated that the fight was a clear victory and that in the end, it was a victory for Mexico. And again, it was an opportunity. And I want to shout out to my opponent, the best in the sport of boxing. I am a great fighter, and I showed it tonight. If the people want another round, I'll do it again. But for right now, I will enjoy time with my family. Now, Triple G did not take part in the post-fight and made his way backstage, where he received stitches for a cut over his right eye. Now, he later responded to the defeat, explaining that, "I'm not going to say who won tonight because the victory belongs to Canelo, according to the judges. I thought it was a very good fight for the fans and very exciting. I thought I fought better than he did. Both fighters were open to a trilogy." Now, the fight generated a live gate of $23,473,500 from 16,732 tickets sold. This was lower than the first fight, but still the 4th largest grossing gate in Nevada boxing history. The fight sold 1.1 million pay-per-view buys, lower than the first fight, but due to being priced at $84.95, it generated more revenue at around $94 million, okay? So now, after that, Canelo went up to super middleweight, okay? Canelo Alvarez versus Rocky Fielding. What's up, Al Booger? In the building. Yeah, we finished up the Canelo today. It had to do it in 2 parts because we couldn't get it done Friday. Salute Al Booger. Remember, a casting friend. Okay. Alvarez versus Fielding. There's him and Rocky Fielding. Now, in October 2018, Canelo announced that he would move up to the super middleweight division for the first time in his career to fight 31-year-old British boxer Rocky Fielding, who came in at 27-1. This fight was at Madison Square Garden in New York City, December 15th, 2018, and this was for the WBA super middleweight title, held by Rocky Fielding. Now, October 17th, 2018, the Zone announced it had signed a 5-year, $365 million deal with Canelo, under which his next 11 fights would be broadcast in the United States by the subscription sports streaming service. And the deal would begin with Canelo versus Fielding and replace his expired contract with HBO, okay? Now, Canelo won the one-sided fight by a third-round technical knockout after repeatedly downing Fielding with body shots. Following the fourth knockdown suffered by Fielding, referee Ricky Gonzalez stepped in and stopped the fight. Okay, but he didn't stay at super middleweight at that time. He came back down to middleweight, and he met Daniel Jacobs. Canelo Alvarez versus Daniel Jacobs. Okay? Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? How you doing today? Yeah, we're finishing up this Canelo profile. Salute, RP. Good to see you. Happy Monday to everybody. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Okay. Yeah. He went and had his first fight at super middleweight, but then he dropped back down to middleweight to fight Danny Jacobs. Now, Canelo defeated IBF middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs by unanimous decision. 115-113 twice, 116-112. May 4th, 2019, in a unification fight at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Now, Canelo defended his WBA, WBC, and ring middleweight titles while obtaining Jacobs' IBF middleweight title. Okay? So then, now he's jumping around now because after Daniel Jacobs, he went to light heavyweight. That's when he fought Sergey Kovalev, remember? Okay? Everything's good, RP. What's up with you today, my brother? Okay, so yeah, after Daniel Jacobs, Canelo went to light heavyweight, fought Sergey Kovalev. On September 13th, here's him and Sergey. That's Sergey. That don't look like Sergey. That's him though. It says it right there on the thing. By the picture. Alvarez versus Kovalev. I guess that's just a bad shot, but that's Sergey. Okay. On September 13th, 2019, Canelo announced by social media that he would move up 2 weight classes to challenge WBO light heavyweight title holder Sergey Kovalev on November 2nd, 2019 at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Now, after a competitive first 10 rounds in which Kovalev found success with his jab, while Canelo largely utilized power punches, Canelo produced a left hook straight right combination to stop Kovalev in the 11th round, left hook straight right, to become a 3-division world champion. At the time of the stoppage, Canelo led 96-94 on 2 of the judges' scorecards, with the other scorecard even at 95-95, so fight still in the balance. Still a very good fight. Canelo joined Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Mike McCallum as the only former junior middleweight champions in history to win a title at light heavyweight. Now, among them, only Hearns and Canelo himself established their careers at welterweight and claimed the title at the 175-pound limit. Now, after the fight, Kovalev suggested that he had always been unlikely to win the fight. Now listen to this, Kovalev. This is a lame excuse. Kovalev said he had always been unwilling to win the fight due to the grueling schedule of back-to-back training camps, which resulted from the short period of time between fighting Anthony Yard on November 24th, August 24th, and Canelo on November 2nd. Nobody put a gun to your head and told you to sign that contract, Sergey. And the fight included a rehydration clause, but he had agreed to fight the latter regardless due to the high financial incentive reported to be $12 million. So don't complain, you know. You had that quick turnaround because of that $12 million, right? You're gonna sit up there and complain I lost because of the quick turnaround. But you saw that $12 million, you probably would have fought a week later, right? But anyway, Sergey got paid. It's the Canelo fight, you know? So Canelo himself was reported to have received a purse of $35 million for the fight. Now, Kovalev's claims were in contrast to his remarks prior to the fight. He said, "I wasn't hurt in my last fight against Yard. I didn't get any injuries." So he said he was going to be okay to go have that fast turnaround against Canelo. But it changed after he got in there and got beat. But Kovalev added, I recharged my batteries. I'm fine. He said all that before the fight. Now, Canelo responded by calling Kovalev a bad loser. I agree, a bad loser, man. Tone changed totally from before the fight. And for his 2019 campaign, Canelo was named the Fighter of the Year by the Ring Magazine, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, and the Boxing Writers Association of America. And he got Ring Magazine as the big one. Okay, he got all of them that year, but he got Ring Magazine. That's the big one. Okay, so then he went back down to super middleweight after that. And I think he might have stayed, except for that when he went for Bivol. I think he stayed at super middleweight after that. Okay, except for that one fight against Bivol. Mike Mazik in the building. What's up, Mike Mazik? We are finishing up the Canelo Alvarez profile from Friday. Salute, Mike Mazik. Good to see you today. All right. Now, return to super middleweight, because he's been doing some jumping around. Okay, so now he goes to super middleweight. On November 6, 2020, Canelo was released from his contract with Golden Boy Promotions after the lawsuit was settled for breach of contract. Yeah, Oscar was butthurt when he lost Canelo. Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. Here's him and Callum. Big, tall Callum Smith. Stay with me for a moment, please. How's everyone today? It's Monday, right at the beginning of a big week of boxing history. Tomorrow, we're going to highlight the boxing history. Going to be the 10 greatest fighters in every weight class, day by day. Start with heavyweight. Supposed to start it today, but everything went haywire right at the beginning, so we just went straight into the Canelo. But starting tomorrow, the 10 best fighters in every weight class, starting at heavyweight on down, okay? So now, we're going to get this done today because it's just 3 o'clock. Yes. Okay. Super middleweight. Callum Smith. On November 17th, via social media, Canelo announced he would be facing undefeated WBA and the ring super middleweight champion, Callum Smith, on December 19th, 2020, with the vacant WBC title also at stake, right? Callum had the WBA in the ring, and the vacant WBC was on the line too. Because y'all know where the WBC was vacant. A certain person had got stripped, missing weight. Initials DB. David Benavidez, remember that? Yeah, so WBC was vacant. Now, if he would have had that, we might have got him in Canelo fight. But it wasn't Canelo's fault. David Benavidez lost it on the scale, so don't blame him. It's Benavidez's fault, right? So Canelo just taking advantage of an opportunity. It was vacant. So it was on the line in this fight. Now, the fight was held at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Canelo's trainer, Eddie Reynoso, revealed that his fighter had been sparring with undefeated heavyweight Frank Sanchez in preparation for the fight. Yeah, they probably sparred a lot. Eddie got both of them right. Eddie got Frank Sanchez right. Yeah. Tony? Now, on the night, Canelo controlled the action over 12 rounds, inflicting Smith with a detached left biceps injury, as he won by unanimous decision with scores of 119-109 twice and 117-111. Now, after the win, Canelo became a 4-division world champion. Okay? Now, Abney Yildirim. We're going to get this finished and get some link time too. Watch. Abney Yildirim. There's him and Abney Yildirim. Beautiful pictures, aren't they? Pat myself on the back. Canelo Alvarez versus Abney Yildirim. It was announced on January 20th, 2021, that Canelo would be defending his titles against WBC mandatory challenger Abney Yildirim on February 27th at the Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. So yeah, everybody, is always complaining about Canelo taking these fights. But this man was his mandatory. So, I'm not protecting him, but this man was his mandatory. I mean, at least he fighting his mandatory, So, I don't know. But yeah, this was his mandatory, Abner Yildirim, right? In Florida. And the fight attracted criticism due to many perceiving Yildirim, who had not been in the ring since he lost a technical split decision to Anthony Dirrell 2 years prior in February 2019, to be vastly overmatched. But it was a mandatory fight, so, damn. Yildirim had been named to the mandatory position as a result of the controversial nature of his loss to Dirrell. But he had remained sidelined due to injury and the COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, that was nasty, that COVID. Now, Canelo, who was mandated to face Yildirim in order to retain the WBC title, despite being heavily favored, was dismissive of the critics, saying, "I really don't have to give any explanation because they're never going to be happy with anything." And it was a mandatory, right? Now, when you're trying to be undisputed, you want to fight your mandatory instead of getting stripped, right? Now, he said, Yildirim has lots of courage. He can be dangerous at any moment because he is a strong fighter. Now, there was a one-sided fight. In a one-sided fight, Canelo defeated Yildirim by third round corner retirement after Yildirim's corner threw in the towel at the end of the third round. Now, according to CompuBox stats, Canelo outlanded Yildirim 67, 40% to 11% in total punches, and 59% to 22% in power punches. Yildirim only landed 4 power punches, right? In the third round, Canelo threw 53 power punches, and he later stated that he had contracted COVID-19 prior to the fight and only had 1 month to train. Then next was Billy Joe Saunders. Y'all remember this stretch? Billy Joe Saunders. Did we do Billy Joe Saunders? No, that was Callum Smith. There's Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, okay? Now, after Canelo's successful defense against Abner Yildirim, promoter Eddie Hearn confirmed Canelo would be facing WBO title holder and undefeated two-weight world champion Billy Joe Saunders in a unification fight on May 8th at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, back at Jerry's World again. Now, prior to the fight, there was a dispute between the two fighters' camps regarding the size of the ring. Now, Saunders was unhappy with the proposed 18-foot ring. Yeah, it was just thinking be easy for Canelo to track his ass down. Saunders wanted the 24-foot ring. Wow, he wanted to run. And he threatened to pull out of the fight if his request wasn't met, despite having boxed primarily in 20-foot rings in his fights in the past in the United Kingdom. He ultimately settled for a 22-foot ring after Canelo said, "I don't care about the size of the ring. I'm just going to go in there and do my job." It's not the only excuse he's had. He's had plenty of excuses, referencing when Saunders had previously voiced his concerns about the selection of judges for the fight. In front of a record-breaking crowd of 73,126 for boxing attendance at an indoor facility in the United States, Canelo won by 8th round corner retirement when Saunders' team threw in the towel due to Saunders having suffered a fractured orbital bone as a result of an uppercut landed by Canelo. At the time of the stoppage, Canelo was winning on the scorecard, 78-74 on 2 of them and 77-75. Throughout the fight, Canelo outlanded Saunders 73-60 in total punches and landed 53% of his power punches. Now, the fight set the record for the largest attendance for an indoor boxing match in U.S. history, surpassing the record set by Leon Spinks versus Muhammad Ali II in 1978. In the immediate post-fight press conference, Canelo was confronted by undefeated WBO middleweight champion, remember this, Demetrius Andrade, who asked Canelo when they were going to fight before accusing Canelo of ducking him. But by that time, they were in different divisions. You know, Andrade was still at 160. Canelo had moved on to 168 then. Now, Canelo responded to Andrade in English, dismissively calling him a horrible fighter and criticizing his resume. Man, you fight with nobody. You are a champion, but you fight with nobody. Now, before Andrade was removed from the press conference, Canelo told him, "Get the fuck out of here. Please get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here because I'm gonna fuck you up right now, motherfucker." Now that's significant. Remember what Canelo called him, motherfucker. Remember that, because he claimed when Plant called him that he didn't know what it means. But he had just called Andrade that. So Canelo was kind of phony in that situation. Listen now, Canelo versus Plant. Remember he called Plant the same. Plant called him the same thing, and he claimed he didn't know what it meant, but he had just used it himself. Alvarez versus Plant. Okay. That was after Saunders, his next fight. Alvarez versus Plant. Okay. Alvarez versus Plant. Now, after months of negotiations, Canelo announced on his social media on August 19th, 2021, that he would be facing undefeated IBF champion Caleb Plant on November 6th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas in an undisputed showdown for all four major world titles in the super middleweight division, with the winner set to become the first ever undisputed champion at that weight class. You know, 4 belt, 2 belt, 1 belt. Nobody had ever been undisputed at super middleweight before. It just started like what? Late 80s or somewhere around in there. Yeah. So anyway, never had an undisputed champion there. On September 21st, 2021, the two fighters were engaged in a brief on-stage scuffle during their first press conference, in which Canelo initiated physical contact during their face-off when he shoved Plant. Now, Canelo stated that he had done this because he took offense to Plant's use of the word motherfucker, interpreting it as an insult to his mother. Now, Canelo was phony. I like Canelo. He was phony right there because he had just called Demetrius Andrade the same thing. So how you don't know what it means? Come on, man. Plant denied to reporters that he had used the common American curse word in that context. Moreover, he drew attention to Canelo's hypocrisy, accurately indicating that Canelo had previously used the exact same slur against Demetrius Andrade on the night of May 8th, 2021, in the aftermath of his fight against Billy Joe Saunders in Arlington, Texas. Okay, so yeah, he knew Canelo knew what it meant because he used it himself. Okay, on fight night, Canelo won the fight by 11th round technical knockout. He had knocked his opponent to the canvas with a left hook, right uppercut combination in the penultimate round before closing in to drop Plant again, prompting referee Russell Mora to call off the fight. At the time of the stoppage, Canelo was ahead on the scorecards with 98-92, 96-94, and 97-93. So with this win, Canelo became the first fighter to unify all 4 belts at super middleweight. Okay, so now he goes back to light heavyweight against Dimitri Bivol. Remember that one? Dimitri Bivol. Donnie Williams, what's up, Donnie? In the building. Good to see you today, Donnie. Yeah, we winding down on the Canelo profile. We didn't, Friday's profile day, Donnie, but Canelo was a long one. We couldn't get it all in Friday. We're gonna finish it up today because we winding down now. We're up to the Bivol fight. Okay. Returning to light heavyweight. There's him and Bivol. Canelo Alvarez versus Dimitri Bivol. Let's talk about that one. We remember that. At the WBC convention on November 15th, 2021 in Mexico City, the WBC approved the request of Canelo's trainer and manager, Eddie Reynoso, to have Canelo challenge Ilunga Makabu for his WBC cruiserweight title. But now Alvarez has never competed at cruiserweight, so Reynoso had needed to petition the WBC to allow the title fight. Now, the cruiserweight limit was 200 pounds, but it had recently been reduced to 190 by the WBC due to the introduction of Bridgerweight. Whatever happened to Bridgerweight? I never heard of anybody ever fighting there. Is it still a Bridgerweight? Okay. Now, the fight had been rumored to take place in May 2022, Canelo and Makabu, right? This ultimately did not materialize as Makabu was forced into a mandatory defense of his title in a rematch against Dabiso Makunu on January 29th, 2022. Yeah, I know some butchering going on now, which Makabu won by split decision. So instead, it was announced on February 25th, 2022, that Canelo had signed a 2-fight deal with Matchroom Boxing. And the first fight would see him returning to the light heavyweight division to challenge undefeated WBA champion Dimitri Bivol on May 7th in a fight that would be televised as sports streaming service DAZN's first pay-per-view offering in the United States and Canada. In an upset, all 3 judges scored the fight 115-113 in Bivol's favor, to hand Canelo the second defeat of his professional career. Now, Bivol fought behind the jab in the opening round while Canelo attacked his body. Canelo gained Bivol's attention when he landed a clean right uppercut on his chin to close the 4th round. Bivol used his excellent footwork and took control of the fight during the middle rounds. Bivol was warned by referee Russell Mora in the 7th round for pushing Canelo down. He was not deducted any points though. Canelo began to tire from round 8 as Bivol continued to outwork him. Now, Bivol's arms were bruised due to Canelo's tactics, the same tactic he had used in his win over Callum Smith, where he targeted his arms. And Bivol said after the fight, "He beat my arm up, but not my head." He kept hitting me in the arms, and I kept hitting him in the face. I expect that. I watched the fight against Callum Smith. Bivol claimed he was the best in the division and apologized to his promoter Eddie Hearn, who had recently had the Canelo Golovkin trilogy fight signed for September 2022. Now, speaking after the fight, Canelo planned to activate the rematch clause in the contract. He said, "It does not end like this. No excuses. I lost today. He is a great fighter. I felt his power. He comes in and he goes out. He manages his distance very well." This was also Canelo's first professional loss since 2013 to Floyd Mayweather, and Canelo was on a 16-fight unbeaten streak coming into this fight, and he felt Bivol only won 5 rounds. Canelo felt Bivol only won 5 rounds. Now, according to CompuBox punch stats, Bivol had outlanded Canelo in every round of the fight for a total of 152 punches landed out of 710 thrown, 21%, compared to Canelo's 84 of 495, 17%. Yeah, Bivol's excellent footwork won that fight, because you never see Canelo at no 17%. So, wow, that is some excellent defense. You hold Canelo to 17%. Many media reporters and pundits drew attention to the judges' official scorecards. All 3 judges had scored Canelo the winner of the first 4 rounds, something that was roundly criticized and described by ESPN reporter Mike Carpenter as puzzling. Now, despite the widespread public opinion that Bivol was the deserved winner, Canelo initially disagreed with this notion, stating in his post-fight interview, "I don't feel like I lost the fight. Personally, I felt he only won 4 or 5 rounds." Now, Canelo later acknowledged defeat and alluded to an issue hampering his training regimen. "It's another reason, but I don't want to say anything and make any excuses. I lost, and that's it. I got tired, and that's it. I couldn't train like I usually did, but it is what it is." Now, Canelo went on to express his desire to face Bivol again. "We want the rematch, and we're going to do better in the rematch." Now, according to Dan Raphael, the pay-per-view did 520,000 buys worldwide, generating between $35 million to $40 million in revenue. Now, the pay-per-view numbers were much lower than the 1 million they had forecast. Now, according to reports, Canelo was to take home a $15 million base, rising up to $53 million. Wow. Bivol was guaranteed $2 million base, up to $5 million, depending on pay-per-view revenue, which was still Bivol's highest purse. Now, despite this, a rematch between Canelo and Bivol did not materialize immediately. Still haven't. As Canelo opted to face WBA and IBF middleweight champion Triple G in a trilogy fight as his opponent for his next fight. Okay? And here's Canelo Triple G3. Canelo Triple G3. We only got a few more to go. We're going to get some late time today. Okay? Promise you. Canelo versus Triple G3. Okay? I'm going to start shortening them up now. Now, despite Canelo expressing his desire to avenge his loss against Bivol, right? On May 24th, 2022, it was announced that he would instead be returning to the super middleweight division to defend his undisputed titles against Triple G in a trilogy fight, would be on September 17th. Now, the fight would see Triple G, the WBA and IBF middleweight champion, compete in the super middleweight division for the first time in his career, while it was Canelo's sixth fight at super middleweight, okay? In the first pre-fight press conference on June 25th, 2022 in Los Angeles, Canelo described the rivalry between him and Triple G as personal rather than simply competitive. Canelo stated of his opponent, he said, Triple G always pretends to be a nice guy, but he's an asshole. Damn, Canelo. He's an asshole person. Wow. That's what Canelo said about Triple G. I missed that. Now, he's talking a lot of things about me. That's why it's personal. Canelo went on to express his excitement at the proposed prospect of sending his opponent into retirement and admitted that he received gratification for making Triple G wait 4 years for a trilogy fight on his own terms in his preferred weight class, a super middleweight. Triple G said, I'd be an asshole. He getting that Canelo payday. That's all Triple G was worried about, was that payday. Canelo said, making Triple G wait 4 years makes me feel good. Now, on fight night, Canelo defeated Triple G by unanimous decision with scores 115-113 twice and 116-112. Yeah, we could have did without that one. Like Just Do said, it was the pay-per-view sparring match. Just Do called that Canelo Triple G third fight perfect. The pay-per-view sparring match. Tim Layton, #JBT. It's just boxing talk. What's up, Tim? How are you today? Okay, yeah, we're finishing up the Canelo profile. We're going to get some link time in about 15 minutes. About 2:30-ish, 2:35-ish. Okay, so now we know we winding down now because we up to John Ryder. We know we winding down. John Ryder fight. Almost at the end. We covered about 30 of Canelo's fights the Friday and today. Now, John Ryder, Canelo versus Ryder. On March 14th, 2023, it was announced that Canelo would be making the second defense of his undisputed super middleweight title against WBO interim champion John Ryder at Estadio Akron in his hometown of Guadalajara, Mexico, May 6th. The fight would mark Canelo's first fight in Mexico in over 11 years. Wow. Canelo won by unanimous decision after the judges scored the fight 118-109 twice and 120-107 in his favor after 12 rounds. Okay? Next was Canelo versus Mel. Canelo versus Mel. Okay? Jermell Charlo. In June of 2023, it was announced, instead of defending his titles against his mandatory challenger, Tim Tszyu, Jermell Charlo would instead move up 2 weight divisions to challenge Canelo in September 2023. Yeah, and Mel got stripped too. As soon as the bell rung, they gave the WBOs to Tim Tszyu. Now, in order to make the fight, Canelo signed a 3-fight deal with Charlo's handlers, PBC. Now, for months, rumors had been circulating that Canelo would be fighting Jamal Charlo. So the news that he was fighting Jamel came as a shock to many in the boxing industry, mostly because Jamel had never competed above 154 pounds at the championship level. I don't think at any level he had been above 154. Now the fight was, maybe as an amateur, I don't know, but the fight was expected to be on pay-per-view. Now the fight was being billed as undisputed versus undisputed because Jamel coming into the fight was still undisputed at 154, and of course Canelo at 168. Now the WBO would allow Jamel to enter the ring and be announced by the MC as the undisputed super middleweight champion, but after the first bell rang, he would be stripped of their WBO title, elevating Tim Tszyu to full championship level. I wanted to see that Jamel and Tim Tszyu bad too, man. We probably would never get it now. You know, I don't think we're ever going to get that. Jamel and Tim Tszyu. You might not get Jamel and nobody. It's the way it's looking. Damn. But anyway, let's continue. My bad. I got off subject. Okay. Yeah, Canelo and Jamel. So yeah, as soon as the bell rang to begin the first round, the WBO stripped Jamel and elevated Tim Tszyu to their full champion. Okay. Now Jamel responded after the fight, calling it unfair by the WBO, as he only recently won the title and he fully intended to return to junior middleweight after this fight and defend his titles, but they didn't give him a chance to. And look at Loma. What was Loma? Didn't fight for damn near 2 years and just retired. Never got stripped. Never got stripped. Well, I don't know. But despite what many believe, the fight was not announced to take place on Mexican Independence Weekend, but instead on September 30th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. I think they had it the weekend after Mexican Independence Weekend, right? Y'all remember that? At the time of the fight announcement, Canelo was surprised he was not offered Jamal, as he was closer to his weight. However, he felt Jamel was the superior boxer with the better resume. Now, during the two-city press tour, this was weird. Jamel was respectful towards Canelo, which came to a shock to everybody, as Jamel was usually confrontational and disrespectful toward all his past opponents, right? Yeah, I thought Jamel was going to ask Canelo for his autograph at one point. I was like, please, Jamel, wait till the camera's off to get his autograph, man. God damn, he was like stargazing at Canelo. I don't know what was wrong. So at that point, everybody knew Jamel was going to lose before the thing even started, man. He wasn't Jamel, right? Now, Canelo appreciated this and said it showed that there does not need to be controversy to sell a fight. But tell Jamel that before his next fight, because he's going to go right back to the confrontational, disrespectful guy. Watch. Because it ain't Canelo. Now, for Jamel, it would be 16 months out of the ring by the time the fight took place. On the previous hand injury, Charlo said there was no issues. For this fight, Canelo moved his full training camp to Lake Tahoe, a high-altitude location, rather than his usual camp, which takes place in San Diego, California. Now, Canelo stated that he preferred to be more isolated and chose to settle in Truckee, which had a population of around 20,000 residents and 5,817 feet above sea level. Now, the WBC announced the winner would receive the Puebla belt, a commemorative belt created for the fight. Now, during fight week, Showtime's Stephen Espinoza revealed the event was projected to exceed $20 million in ticket revenue. Both fighters weighed the same, 167.4 pounds for the fight, a career high for Charlo. Both fighters were cautious early, but from the second round, Canelo would largely control the pace of the fight, backing Jamel into the ropes and landing heavy punches to the body. About a minute into the seventh round, Canelo sent Mel onto his knees with a right hook and right uppercut. It was just the second time that Mel had been knocked down in his career. Now, Mel beat the count, but by this time appeared to be focused on just trying to survive and make it to the final bell. Now, whenever Canelo cut inside, Jamel moved out of range without engaging. At the end of 12 rounds, all three judges scored the fight for Canelo with scores of 119-108, 118-109, and 118-109, giving him a unanimous decision victory. Now, during the post-fight interview, Canelo said, "Nobody can compete with this Canelo. 2 months in the mountains without my family, I still love boxing. I love boxing so effing much. Boxing is my life. Boxing made me the person I am today." Jamel said, "I feel like it wasn't me in there. I don't make excuses. You win some, you lose some. I'm undisputed in my weight class." No, you're not either. After the first round, you wasn't undisputed no more. "I was daring to be great. I'm proud of myself. He didn't knock me out. He knocked all the other guys out." When asked who he would like to fight next, Canelo replied, "Whoever. I don't effing care." Now, according to CompuBox, Canelo landed 134 of 385 punches thrown, 35%, compared to Jamel landed 71 of 398 thrown, 18%. Both landed just one punch each in the opening round. Now, Canelo was asked about Terence Crawford being a potential opponent in the future, to which he responded, "You know, I always say if the fight makes sense, why not? But he is not in the plans. You know, like I say, if it makes sense, maybe. I don't know right now. I just want to enjoy this fight, and please let me enjoy this fight." Okay, so yeah, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford in a little bit. Okay, Jaime Munguia was next. Jaime. Okay, we're going to go through these and get some link time. Yeah, February 27, 2024, reported that Canelo would defend his undisputed super middleweight title against Jaime Munguia, May 4th in Las Vegas, which he did, okay? And he dropped Jaime in the 4th round, and then he won unanimously, 117-110, 116-111, and 115-112. Next was Edgar Berlanga, the guy that like biting people. Edgar Berlanga, right? Canelo defended his WBA, WBC, and WBO super middleweight titles against Edgar Berlanga at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas on September 14th, 2024, right? Now, Canelo had been stripped of the IBF title after failing to defend the belt against mandatory challenger William Skull. He beat Berlanga by unanimous decision, knocking him down in the 3rd round. So then, went to get his IBF back. William Skull. Okay? This just happened. In January 2025, it was reported that Canelo would fight William Skull for the undisputed super middleweight title on May 3rd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Now, Canelo won the fight by unanimous decision, with the judges scoring the fight 115-113, 116-112, 117-110. Right? Now, both fighters' performances were regarded by the media as underwhelming for their lack of action. The fight set a new record for the fewest punches thrown in a 12-round fight tracked by CompuBox in the punch counter's 40-year history, with just 445 punches. Canelo threw 152 and Skull threw 293. And then that made Canelo the only person in the 4-bout era to be undisputed in the same weight class twice. Got other 2-time undisputed in the 4-bout era, but Canelo is the only one in the same weight class. And now coming up is Canelo versus Crawford. Talk about that right quick. Following his victory over William Skull, it was confirmed that Canelo would defend his undisputed super middleweight titles against undefeated light middleweight world champion Terence Crawford. The two fighters had their first face-off in the ring immediately after the announcement. The fight will take place on September 13th at a venue to be determined. Okay? All right, let's take a quick look at his personal life. Now, Canelo is Catholic. He was engaged to Marisol Gonzalez, who is Miss Mexico Universe 2003, and a sports reporter for Televisa Deportes. In May 2021, Canelo married his longtime partner, Fernanda Gomez, in a ceremony at the Guadalajara Cathedral in Guadalajara, Mexico. Canelo has 3 daughters and 1 son, all with different women. Canelo is an avid car collector, owning a Ferrari LaFerrari, a Bugatti Chiron, a Lamborghini, Aventador, SVJ, a Shelby Mustang, and a Mercedes AMG 63 6x6, a Rolls Royce Ghost. He got a Rolls Royce Ghost. Wow. And a Tesla Model X. Your Rolls Royce Ghost is bad. Canelo got one of them. He also owns several motorcycles, including Harleys and Ducatis. Okay? Canelo enjoys playing golf. In 2020, he stated his intentions to retire from boxing by age 37 and dedicate himself to his business and playing golf every day in retirement. Yep, they want to play golf every day in retirement. Wow. Now, Canelo is involved in several business ventures, including real estate and convenience stores. He served as executive producer for the film The Long Game in 2023. And Canelo is also a boxing promoter in Mexico. His company, Canelo Promotions, was established in 2010, and his business partners are his trainers, father and son team, Chepo and Eddie Reynoso. As of 2013, Canelo Promotions represented 40 boxers throughout Mexico. He is also involved in philanthropic work, particularly in his home country. He has supported various charitable organizations and causes, specifically those focused on helping underprivileged children and families. Canelo made a cameo appearance in Creed 3, 2023, and features on the cover of the boxing video game Undisputed. There you have it, the life and career of the great Canelo Alvarez. All right. Okay, let's get some link time in here. We got like 25 minutes. If everybody can hit the link. The link is for everybody. Okay, in here. Let's get some link time. How's everybody today? We got what we got? Richards and Hitchens and George Cambosis. Well, everybody, the airwaves was lit up with the Keyshawn situation this weekend. I just got one sentence to sum that whole situation up. One sentence. And it goes like this. Y'all done heard it before. You can take a person out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of some people. You can make them millionaires, you can make them billionaires. They're just gonna be a ghetto millionaire or a ghetto billionaire. The ghetto is just ingrained in some people. You can't take it out. Okay? And that sums that Keyshawn shit up perfectly. Take some people out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of some people. Plain and simple. But let's get some link time. Y'all done heard enough about that this weekend. The Keyshawn situation. Okay. All right. But how's everybody though? How was everybody's weekend? We're right back at the beginning of another big week of boxing history on Cat Sports the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. Right? We got Richards and Hitchens and George Cambosis this weekend. I got Hitchens in that one. Yeah. Be a decision though. Hitchens ain't knocking nobody out. Plus, Kambosos is a tough guy. You know, he ain't getting knocked out. Not by Hitchens. Hitchens will win a wide decision. You know, wide over Kambosos. Outboxing. What's next for Keyshawn? Yeah, we come up on the link and let's talk about what's next. You know, for the businessman. Now, I'm not going to pile on with everybody who's been on that young man all weekend. I just said my piece. Take people out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of some people, man. You know, you out there banking people. Come on, man. Like you down at the local liquor store at the end of the block banking people. Come on, man. You're supposed to be a world champion. Damn, they're going to be the face of a promotional company. What the hell are you doing out there banking people, man? Damn. But you can take some people out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of some people. Just can't do it, man. It's ingrained in them. You know what I mean? It's ingrained in them. No matter where they go, no matter how much money they get, that ghetto is going to be in them. Just ain't coming out. Just ain't coming out, man. You know? But hey, here's the link. What's up, Just Do Boxing? Coming up at 4 p.m. Bring you that balance, unbiased boxing talk. Everybody gets to Just Do it, Just Do Boxing. Everybody. Okay. Oh, come on, man. Yeah, but yeah, Abdullah had a good fight, and there's Thomas Hill. What's up, T Hill?
Hey, what's good with you guys? What's good? What's good? What's good?
Everything's okay. What's up with you? How was the weekend?
Weekend was short.
Yeah.
Need more time.
Always do, man.
Yo, it's a blessing every day you get, though. So.
That's right. That's right. What you think about the weekend situation? Everybody else talking about it. We might as well talk about it too. What's next for Keyshawn though, T Hill? At 140. What's a good fight for him to start out? I think we might have lost Thomas Hill. I heard a click or something.
Now my phone been tripping lately. I don't know what the buzz is going on. Like it cuts off.
They're coming in loud. Yeah. What would be a good first fight for Keyshawn at 140 though? You know, to start his way back. He can come back, you know. A couple good performances. Who would be a good first step for him? Oh, your T.O. said he having some trouble with his phone. Yeah. But yeah, 140 is a good division. A lot of options. Keyshawn is a talented fighter, you know. No matter what he did, you can't take that from him. The young man got talent now. You know, you got to give him that. Right? No matter what he did. He know his way around inside them ropes. So yeah, he can come back. He just got to, you know, keep his nose clean and come back and get some good performances at 140. Be right back in the swing of things. I was just wondering what would be a good first fight back for him at 140. Rolly, beat up on Rolly. Tito Mercado said he was going to call him out as soon as he got there, so I wouldn't mind seeing that one. That would be a good one. That would be a good one. But yeah, 140 is shaping up to be the division, man. We was thinking it was 154, remember? It's definitely 140 now. Wow. Definitely shaping up to be the division. big time. Yeah, I think Thomas Hill is getting his phone together over there. Yeah, we're right at the beginning of another big week of boxing history, though. Boxing in the States Thursday will be Wisconsin. We only got 2 states left: Wisconsin and Wyoming, and that's it. You know, we done went through the entire alphabet, every state in the country. Did a little history on them and some significant events concerning boxing, like famous venues in the states and big fights that happened there. And then we talked about some fighters from these states, you know. And we got Wisconsin and Wyoming. That's it. I can't think of any more. And we're gonna have our regular profile Friday. I think it's gonna be we're going way back. It's gonna be the Boston Strong Boy, John L. Sullivan, way back in the 1800s. John L. Sullivan was the last champion in the bare knuckles era, and he was the first champion when everybody officially started wearing gloves. First champion in the glove era. We're gonna talk about him Friday. John L. Sullivan, the Boston Strong Boy. That was his nickname. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We going way back to the 1800s. He was a heavyweight. But, you know, when he first started fighting back there, they really didn't have weight classes. Everybody was fighting everybody, you know. You might have somebody in there weigh 150 fighting somebody weigh 250. But then, you know, that's when the Queensberry rules came in, and, you know, they had to get weight classes to make it fair. And plus it was dangerous, you know, back then. People was getting hurt and stuff because you could throw people down and headbutt them and kick them while they was down and all kinds of stuff way back then, before the Queensberry rules, you know. Put your thumb in their eye. Yeah. It wasn't much differential between boxing and wrestling back in the days, man. Yeah. But then the Queensberry rules came in and cleaned it up. And that's why a lot of states had boxing banned back then, because, you know, the nature of it, the kind of stuff you could do in the ring. But when the Queensberry rules came around and cleaned it up, a lot of states started allowing it, you know.
All right, sorry about that, man. So, like, yeah, when I take my finger off of it and I just let it sit, it just goes and goes off for some odd reason, even though I'm inside the studio and I'm talking. And when it does that, it kind of like closes the phone so you don't hear what I'm saying. And it's like peeving me off because it's doing it a lot lately. I don't know, it's part of the new update or whatever the case may be. I got to see what it is because it does it a lot. But as far as the weekend events, I would say that, you know, the first thing he would have to do is actually become accountable for what transpired, because there was a lot of moving parts that went into what they're doing. I mean, Bob don't invest money like that with just any old person. You know, you found that out with Crawford and you found that out with his boy Shakur. So he knows that he was getting special treatment that way. And then on top of that, he was incorporating his little brother and his older brother into the mix. And the jury's out on the little brother still. We don't know what he's going to be. He looks to be legit, but the older brother doesn't look to be someone that they would typically. He would. Yes. Yeah, and that's not someone they would typically invest their money in, but they done that. So, you know, for that, you know, there's that responsibility there to make sure that, you know, he does good on his own thing. Now, then there's the city, what the city did for him. The city naming days after him, naming streets after him, and giving him keys to the city.
And he was bringing money to the city. They're not gonna get no more cars like that no time soon.
So there's that. So that's a big mess up, a big flaw right there that happened from what transpired this weekend. Then there's like his mom being there. Now I don't know if she's about that life and that don't matter to her, but you know, it don't wash well when you got legends from that area coming out and being a part of it too. And then you got people that's coming to support you. So you're getting money brought to the city or to the Commonwealth. You got people, dignitaries coming out to make sure we acknowledge your effect, not only in the sport of boxing, but from their town. And one of their fave sons coming out there and doing well. You got Bob Arum, who's giving your family a shot because of you and trying to promote you.
Bob had bought in. You know,
you do that, and you don't have any. He came in, and I got this on good advisement. Somebody that was there said he came in 2 pounds over that morning before weigh-in. He proceeded to add 2 more pounds to that. He never tried to make the weight.
That proved it right there. You went up instead of getting closer. Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a bad look, and that shows you really don't give a fudge. You gonna do whatever you want to do, and these people won't like it, or they just gonna have to just move on with themselves.
You know what though? He thought De Los Santos was gonna take the fight anyway. That's what he thought.
I think he was hoping for sure. He thought that, hey, though, you know what? He can get more money and he'll take the fight. But like we've seen before where people have taken the fights under such pretenses and it didn't end well for them. So shout out to his manager, Samson Lipowitz, for saying, hell nah. My fighter came in ready and under the contract. I'm not about to reward this Mickey Fricky for not doing the same. He didn't hold up to his end of the bargain. Just give us our bread and we good.
Yep, still got him paid too. I love that part of it. Still got him paid.
So now you take in the fact that he paid him out. He didn't have to pay Keyshawn, but he definitely had to pay for the venue, pay for the airtime. Well, I mean, they got money allotted for that, so they get a certain amount of money allotted for these types of events. So that probably he didn't have to pay for, but for like all the concessions and things up in there, got to pay for that. Then you got to refund some people. So Bob might not appreciate this, and being the person that he is may put him on the shelf, so to speak, and we don't know who he may get at 40. I mean, there are names. He's not a belt holder anymore. So Bob can literally throw him to the wolves if he chooses to let him fight.
Why didn't he just go up? He could have went up as the champion, vacate, then he would have had a little bit of advantages and stuff, wouldn't he? If he would have just vacated and went on up instead of doing it that way.
So let's talk about that. I mean, first and foremost, the call out. The call out was a straight up pump fake.
Yeah.
And it was a chance to just like make himself look like he this big bad wolf and he huffing and puffing and blowing people down.
Yeah.
Like I say, man, there's always a code and a standard that they have to follow. There's like a series of script that they got to follow. And that's why when my man Mortaya was calling out for anybody that was in top rank that could give him a belt, a title shot, he was saying Keyshawn Davis. And then the call came in, hey, look, what we're going to do is we're going to have you elevated for Lomas. So stop calling him out and just go with this narrative. This is the thing that we're going to say. And see, people can say that's not true, but you just look at how it played out and you'll see Loma was uncertain. So they didn't say anything. But as soon as it became uncertain and became more certain, then that's why he ain't no longer calling out for Keyshawn, and he's saying we're gonna go a different route. We're gonna go whatever route becomes available. See, and then that's the thing. In that moment, Keyshawn said that stuff. They had already had the script. Hey, look, man, he about to get rid of this belt, and you gonna be fighting for this belt and whatnot. So when he called him out and did all that stuff, it probably caught him by surprise.
Yeah,
because he was like, hey, what you doing? Like, you already knew you was gonna go up and drop this belt, man. Why are you talking like that? Why are you talking like I'm scared to fight you or some stuff like that?
Yeah.
So he knew already off the rip that it was no fight gonna be happening next for him at that weight.
Nope.
And they were grooming Abdullah to replace him for that belt because that's how Bob operates. That's why he was so pissed when Shakur kept pressing for that Valdez fight. He didn't want to go to the promotion. Why?
No.
Because he don't want that belt to be unified. He wants his fighters to have a chance to fight for these belts. That's how Bob want to do it in his perfect world. And that's why there was never. Go ahead, Kaz, my bad.
That's how Bob been doing it for years. Yeah, that's how he operates. You know?
And then that's exactly how Bob was never, and I repeat, never entertaining a fight with one of his champions in Tank for a belt.
No.
Never. Not at no point in time did Bob ever entertain any possible chance of his fighter that has a belt with Tank Davis so that belt can leave from his thing. And likewise, when Shakur left Top Rank with the belt, it weakened his draw for possible belt holders. So now he, instead of having 3, got only access to 2. So, but if he has 3, then it means he has all this talent that he got at that in and around that weight class, fighting for 3 different belts, as long as they don't unify.
Right.
That's Bob. And that has been the reason why fights have not been made, whether people want to believe it or not. It's not because of these fighters, it's because of these promoters. And Bob uses those belts. Go ahead, Cass.
Oh, good. You're right. It's clearly the promoters.
Oh, you can clearly see it. If you just follow the breadcrumbs, you can see it. And that's why that pump fake of a call out that he did at this press conference was even further bad look, because I'm going to put this link in here right here. If you can, pull this up.
Okay. Yeah,
I think it's that one. But if it ain't that one.
Look real bad at the end.
Can you pull that video up?
Abdullah, let me see. Abdullah come up smelling like roses. Shout
out to Abdullah, because when the moment was there, even in the moment of the call out, he handled himself accordingly.
Yes, he did.
And all of this, the younger person, the younger man, handled himself with more regard, more accountability, and more professionalism than the other one. If you could bring that link up and put that on the screen, that's an interview a long time ago for one of Frank Martin's fight where Keyshawn was there. And my man Frank saw him and went dead to him and approached him like, yo, bro, I ain't with all that other stuff that you do. You need to stall that ish out. If you want to fight, we can fight. But other than that, man, stop playing that clown stuff. That's not how I get down. And in the process, he shook his hand and then he walked off and said something. Frank went and followed him again and pressed him and said, dog, if you want to fight, we could fight. And guess what he said? My peoples can get in contact and line it up. Now, when Abdullah said that, no, I don't want to hear about your people. I'm talking about you and me. What are you going to do? But see, when he got pressed, when he was that dude, he said my peoples too. So why the shift in energy? Why wasn't that Keyshawn responding to Frank like he was responding to Abdullah? So, this has always been the case, and this is how we know without a doubt that these fights that people, quote unquote, are ducking or not making, if they are being called out, it's not because of them. It's because of the way that things are, especially when belts are involved, and especially with certain outfits. Certain outfits use those belts to attract attention, to attract recruits, to attract prospects, to attract talent. They're not going to salvage those things. They're not going to leverage them bargain them away. They're going to use them to leverage more talent their way. So it is what it is. So him not having a belt makes him expendable pretty much for them if Abdullah Mason is the guy that they choose to put their most of their emphasis on for promotion.
Who promotes Andy Cruz? Is it Eddie Hearn?
Andy Cruz, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say he is by Eddie Hearn, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Could be wrong. I want to look that up. Let me look that up real quick.
And Muratala, has he been elevated yet? Because Loma is officially retired now, right? And
Yeah,
Muratala,
he's been elevated. He's
okay,
officially elevated.
full champion now. Yeah.
And I think that they're gonna make Abdullah fight for the belt that was just became vacant from Keyshawn Davis. Yeah.
Right. Because Bob ain't gonna put him at Muratala, and then he don't like you say, he don't want them unified. You know, he don't want no
And
belt.
guys, that's what I've always screamed. Like, and honestly, we have both. Remember, they said Tank was ducking Loma, right?
Yeah, that's what they said.
Loma came out and said they never entertained that fight. If they were gonna ever make that fight, it was when he was at 130. Wasn't when he was at 135. And that was when he had the opportunity with the one belt that he held at 130. I believe that was the IBF, right?
Yeah, I think it was IBF.
So he was talking about that time frame, but they apply it to when he was at 35. Then there was the fact that Bob Arum came out. Now, whenever Bob talks, he often tells the truth when
he let the truth come out. Okay, we done lost T Hill. I was trying to work on getting this interview up here. I don't have no idea what we're doing tomorrow. But we're gonna be doing some kind of boxing history. I've been listening to everybody talk all weekend. Wasn't even working. Bear with me for a minute. Defon Arnie must have left on us. He would be up here. I'm almost there. Yeah, I can't get this thing to come up. Y'all know me in technology. Let's see. Try it one more time. We're going to get ready to get out of here. It's almost time for Just Do Boxing. And it is time for Just Do Boxing. And now I get it. Okay, yeah, we're going to get ready to I'm putting it on my phone, but I can't get it on here. Oh, well. Okay, we're going to get ready to get out of here. T-Hill and dropped off. Appreciate everybody for stopping through today. Hope you enjoyed the Canelo profile. Yeah, this is the interview. I'm looking at it right now on my phone. I can't get it on the screen. Sorry. That's the interview T-Hill was talking about. But yeah, on Just Do today, Just Do's going to be talking about what's next for DB3. And Tim Bradley, RIP's Haney, easy to beat style. Team Davis tells side of story. Today on Just Do Boxing, coming up next in these YouTube streets. Yeah, I couldn't get that interview. I got it on my phone. I couldn't put it on the laptop screen. I don't know why. Okay, yeah. Join me tomorrow for some more boxing history. Because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do up next. This is Cass Sports. Everybody have a great afternoon. Appreciate y'all 1,000%. Wait a minute. Just Do Boxing, Tim Layton, Donnie Williams, Mike Mazik, Ray Patterson, Al Booger, Define Only One, Mike Grimm, Thomas Hill, and Miss Cass. Everybody have a great afternoon. See y'all tomorrow.
My bad, man. I keep getting phone calls about our church business that we got to handle. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, I was looking at the video on my phone. I couldn't get it up on. I couldn't get it on the screen.
Nah, that's my fault. I thought I told you the. Hold on for a quick second. I had to answer this call.
I'm gonna check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that video right there, I want you to check out, and then I want you to replay the conference, the press conference that they had for the fight where he challenged Abdullah Mason, and then look at how it transpired, what he had to say to Abdullah, and then likewise in the same position a few years. Oh shit! He said, so, "I'm sorry, it keeps popping up, and I'm gonna figure out what's going on with that, why it keeps doing that." But what he said to Frank Martin when Frank Martin pressed up on him about it at his conference. Mm-hmm. But going back to what I was saying, like, unfortunately for him, this may have a negative impact on how Bob moves with him going forward. Yeah. He no longer holds a belt, so he doesn't have that protection of holding a belt. Because everybody look at Valdez. Valdez was protected when he had that belt, to the point that the only reason why that fight ever happened was because of that lawsuit that Crawford did. That was it. Shakur's relationship with Crawford and his advisement to say, if you don't get that fight, push for the lawsuit, because you deserve the right to contend for it. So I believe that more so than anything is the reason why he said, all right, you could have it. But you notice he did not promote that fight. He didn't show up. He didn't want no part of that fight. He said it was a stupid fight. Remember, it was a stupid fight.
That. Wasn't he at a press conference on the stage one time and wouldn't even say something?
Wouldn't even say anything. Yeah, said it was a stupid fight. Yeah. Remember, why would your biggest star, your brightest star, well, maybe Loma. Loma probably was the brightest star. But Shakur was your brightest, youngest star.
Been with him from the beginning of his career, remember?
Yeah, fighting somebody who has notoriety, who has a following, and it's just coming off of a little sketch test where he was found of having some performance enhancing drugs in the system. He could redeem himself. The younger star could show that, hey, this is something that y'all need to get behind, and he's a former silver medalist. Mm-hmm. Why would that be a bad fight? Why would that be a stupid fight? It's a stupid fight because it messes up his business model. His business model is to have belts and have exposure for these people. Right. He's never, and I repeat this, he's never going to make a fight with one of his belt holders that is 50-50. If you notice, all of his belt holders have not been 50-50 when they've made quote unquote fights that are considered tough fights. No, none of his former champions have ever been in that. And that's why it's so perplexing to me that they only assign it to certain folks. There are folks that they say he ain't never been in a 50-50 fight. None of them have.
None of them.
And none of them at top rank will, especially if it's cross promotional, because that belt can mosey itself over to the other side. Now that's less champions that you can make or you can promise for your recruits that you're trying to gain. And that's the beauty of promotions. And that's the ugly side of the boxing, that we don't get most of these fights. It's not really on the fighters. It's mostly on the promoters.
Yeah, they got control.
They got the ultimate control.
Yeah.
People not going to see them promote fights, but they put this event together that you come to see these people fight in a ring. The ring costs. The people that put the ring up costs. The people to judge the ring.
Referees.
Referees.
All got to be paid.
They got to be paid. So as long as you're spending money, like if you got somebody, Cass, you ask somebody to do some work on your house and you're spending your money, do they get to tell you how you want to get it done?
No.
Or do you tell them how you want it done?
If they want that money, they're going to do what I tell them. I get somebody else.
So no matter if they're working for you, I mean, you're paying them to do the work for you so that you can look good.
That's right.
They still got to follow whatever directive that you give them, because you're the one that's putting on the money for this stuff, right?
Right.
Same thing for the people that own the company that you're using the services of. The people that's working for them doing the work. But these Mickey Frickies' name is who's on things. So when everything go bad, you're not suing the people that's doing the work. You're gonna sue them people or you're gonna go after the people that's name is on there. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. When you're going to Top Rank, the name of Top Rank, Bob Arum. So even though the fighter is the reason why you're coming to it, the reason why you're even being able to come is Bob Arum. And Bob Arum has always said, oh, my man's case in point. Kambosos get beat by Devin. Devin's now flying under the Top Rank banner. He got to fight that rematch. What do they say? Oh, we don't necessarily have to fight it. We can fight that thing with Tank. All Tank got to do is all he got to do is just use the quote unquote. Now trip this up. Quote unquote the mandatory. Now this is the funny thing about people who believe that Tank actually has the belt that has mandatories. Mm-hmm. He cannot exercise a mandatory when his belt is the one with the mandatories. So it can have never been that. They only wanted him to petition for the fight and use it that way so that they can get the 60-40 split. Mm-hmm. Or a higher split than what they do if Tank, who is the draw, says, look, this is the fight. So they try to do that, but even still in that regard, Bob, the litigious one, would have sued the heck out of PBC, sued the heck out of Tank and all of his handlers if they try to breach a contract that was contracted. It's a rematch after this fight. And then after that fight, it's a fight with Loma. He said there will be a fight for a rematch, then there will be a fight with Loma if he is to prevail. And you see what happened. You see what happened. And who said that, Cass? Who said that? Who was the one that said it will be a rematch and then a fight with Loma?
Bob Arum.
And whenever Bob Arum tells you something, what does happen?
That's what happens.
Exactly. There never was an opportunity for that fight to be made, but people will sit there and spin it.
They was just capping. They knew they had to fight Kambosos and Loma.
They knew that. And also they knew this too. And shout out to Devin, because Devin was fighting these fights hella depleted, hella dehydrated.
He should have been on 35.
Ben, that first fight with Kambosos, he shouldn't even fought at 135. Those 3 fights he took with Kambosos and Loma was 3 fights he could have been spending.
Who was the fight before Kambosos? That should have been
The fight before Kambosos?
That should have been his last fight at 35. I can't remember.
Wasn't that?
I can't remember who that was.
It was JoJo. Was it JoJo? No, it was not JoJo.
That should have been his last fight at 135, though. I thought. I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was the guy that almost knocked him down, that hurt him. Linares, wasn't it?
Linares.
Yeah. He should have went up after that, I thought.
I agree. I thought after that Kambosos fight, it should have been no way.
That's the first one.
That first Kambosos should have definitely been his last.
Definitely been it. Yeah.
That first Kambosos should have definitely been his last. But after that is when he got introduced to the snack program, and it allowed for him to make the second one a little bit easier than the first one. And then he was able to make the Loma fight. And then push up 30 pounds after that fight. So I've never seen that. Kaz, we've been watching boxing a long time, bro. I'm used to fighters blowing up no more than 10 pounds in the ring the night after. And this new 2015 was a huge stretch.
Remember, he went up 25 on Regis. Remember, he was 165.
Yeah.
He was 140 that Friday, and by Thursday night, he was 165, remember?
Yeah. And I think Regis went up himself about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So, I've never seen this type stuff.
Regis was a snack too, wasn't he? I think I seen that. He had a snack hat on or something like that.
Yeah. Your boy been fighting too long at that division. He was fighting that too. Same thing with Taylor. Taylor was fighting too long at the division that he was fighting.
Gosh, should have been long.
Now his career is what it is now because he didn't wasted his better condition.
Yeah,
scaling down to fight people that he didn't have no business being in the ring with, and that's the thing.
A couple weeks ago, didn't he, Josh? When he had 140 that last fight?
Yeah, and he shouldn't be.
Wow. No way.
And 147 gonna be unkind. So hey.
You know what's gonna happen? Soon as Boots leave, everybody's gonna go up there. Watch. As soon as Boots go to 154, it's gonna be a large influx.
But Kat, this is the thing for me. Like, it's safe for people right now because Boots made it clear. I only want to unify. I'm not interested in anything else. So you got to have a belt in order for you to get in the ring with him. He ain't gonna get in the ring with just any old body that's going backwards.
No, not at 47 yet. That's true.
Now, when it's other fighters, and this is why it's affecting Boots, because Boots at one point in time had some kind of relationship with the PBC through Showtime. Through Showtime. It was through Showtime, but it was relationship with PBC. So he gets treated and regarded as a PBC fighter. And whenever you're a PBC fighter, they coming at you.
That follows you.
Yeah, that follows you. Exactly. Perfect ideology. I mean, idiom right there. That follows you.
You still remember him for that.
Exactly. They think he's a top ranked fighter. I mean, PBC fighter, and he never was.
No,
he never was. He was with the old boy. I think. Yeah, exactly. So because of that, he's getting held to a standard that they don't hold no other fighter to. Nobody on Top Rank, nobody on Golden Boy, nobody on DAZN, nobody on Matchroom.
The thing is, Boots with DAZN now, ain't he?
Yeah.
But because he had that affiliation to Showtime.
Exactly. It follows him, like you said.
That's crazy, ain't it?
It follows him. So he's going to always have that stigma because he was aligned with somebody that did business with them.
Yeah.
He wasn't with them, but he was aligned with somebody that did business with them. Yeah. He was with Showtime.
Showtime, yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Yeah, these things are narratives, man. Reality is a different thing. Reality is what the people that make the fight say, And if you listen to what they say, they tell you the truth all the time, and they won't believe it, especially if it's coming from a certain faction. So if ever Steven Espinoza, who's with a publicly traded entity, cannot give you false information, say something, he capping, he lying, he doing all this. But when everybody else said, "Oh man, I just didn't, I just paid it, no, never mind."
Right.
But it's the truth,
Yeah.
and that's where we at.
This is believable.
So for that, shout out to Abdullah for holding his end of the bargain, for being a professional, and for handling in business.
Knockatilla's eye, man. That jab.
Yeah.
All from the jab.
Yeah.
Damn.
Shout out for Kelvin Davis for being a professional in defeat and not succumbing to the actions of his brothers. I mean, I'm gonna shout out the younger Keon, because the younger Keon went in the ring and went into that ring and handled his business. So shout out to him for that.
Keyshawn going over there doing that nonsense, you know that. You know Keyshawn older than him, you know.
Yeah.
But they say Calvin went and Calvin gave a public apology. I never heard what it was or anything. I just heard
he went out there and apologized and said that, that's not how we are to carry ourselves, and that's not how we handle it. And shout out to him for having a great game plan and carrying it out. So I'm gonna shout him out, man. I'm gonna say, hey, it's not the end of the world for Keyshawn Davis. But Keyshawn got some soul searching to do. He got to make sure that he realized that what he did wasn't right, not only for himself, not only for his family, not only for his city, a commonwealth, but for all those who invested the time, the effort, the energy, and the money to go out there and support him. And he did that.
And I know one thing Bob is definitely not going to do anytime soon. He ain't going back to no Norfolk no time soon. Keyshawn messed that up.
He messed that up, Cass. He messed that up. That would never happen.
MP3s they could have had bringing money to that city in the future,
man. And what it also showed is he's not ready for the big stage. That's how they're gonna take it. That's how the people that make decisions are gonna take that. He not ready for the big stage. We can't put this Mickey Fricky in front of the people, because he did this live and in living color. Your thing up there in the red says 2/17/27 live. That's what he did. Live and living color. He did this.
And he already had drawn attention to himself already from the weigh-in, and then added on. That was like an add-on,
So yeah, hey, but in that, shout out to the other people who did their business. Shout out to Junto Nakatani for going in there in a tough fight with Nishida and winning and handling it, and then calling out Inoue. Shout out for Inoue for the response, saying he willing and ready to take on the fight. Shout out to my man Joao Pataya. He went in there and handled his business.
Yeah.
Zerto
act like he don't want to fight Apataya though,
No, he don't want to fight him, bro. He don't. That's
Puro, what's up?
Puro. My man, Puro, what's good with you?
We gotta get ready to get out too, T. Who else fought this weekend? Didn't Franchon fight?
I don't know. She probably did. I just didn't get wind of it. I'm gonna have to go check it out and see.
Yeah. The girl you was talking about, Beatrice Ferrari, wasn't that the one you was talking about on here? Beatrice, wasn't that the one?
Oh yeah, Beatrice. Yeah, I know she fights. I don't know when she fights. If it's this weekend. She fought this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta check that out. Then I missed it. Then that's my girl right there.
I think her and Franchon was on the same card.
Oh well, I definitely gotta go check it out.
She was the main event. Franchon was the co-main. I think it was Friday. I missed it.
Yeah, well, they got something special in her, man, because of the way she places her punches and the way she puts them together, man. She fights almost like she fought against her brothers all her life. And she really puts things together, man. So but man, I know it's time for us to go on and take it in, man. Shout out to Cash Sports, the box story, and the only place where you can get the history of the sport of boxing. And it's given its proper context, experience, proper content, and it's always given its just due. Shout out to my guy, Just Do Boxing, the voice, aka Curtis Bridgers. He has a show. It's called Just Do Boxing, and it is on right now, man. So you can scurry yourselves over there to Just Do Boxing and enjoy boxing getting its just due. Shout out to the good brother Puerto Sur out here in my California brethren. Shout out to Just Do Boxing, Tim Layton, the Big Train Al Booger, the Professor Donnie Williams, Mike Magic, the Champ, Define Irony, the Ringside Reporter. Shout out Ray Patterson, RP from Jersey. You know he in here. We got Mrs. Cass, the Better Half, Mike Rim, and then now you have me. And what you have is an experience like no other. You got a space where it's dedicated to boxing and the thing that made it the great sport that it is. And we try to push it in the best light possible here over at Cat Sports. So it is 2:00 shorty. He is the boxtorian. This is where you get your lesson in boxing. There's plenty books to read and plenty videos to feed. And he's going to give you a lot of it. And shout out to him. Until the next time, for those that were up in the chat, we appreciate you. For those who were just viewing, we appreciate you even more. Don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to like. Don't be afraid to hit that Cash App. And don't be afraid to subscribe. And until the next time, this is the 2:00 Jody. This is the Boxtorian. This is Cash Sports, and we out.